You're listening to Current Conversations in Instructional Design with Jacqueline Nanoff. I'm so excited to address one of our listeners' questions with you today because we are talking about a topic that so many of you have asked about. In today's episode, we open the conversation about a controversial new approach encroaching in the instructional design space. That approach is called design thinking. Today, I talk all about design thinking. What is it? How is it done? Will it replace instructional design? What are the benefits of using design thinking? With all that in mind, let's jump in. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Nanoff, and this is Current Conversations in Instructional Design. I'm an educator, instructional designer, and design thinker. I love keeping instructional designers up to date with conversations happening in their field. And I love that I can bring new tools and tricks to your instructional design toolbox. I'm so excited to discuss this topic with you all. So many of you have been talking about it lately. It's design thinking. Let's start with a question from one of our listeners, Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa. I've been an instructional designer for nearly 2 decades. I've been hearing more and more about this process or approach called design thinking. The people I talk to in my field don't really know what to make of it. What is it? It sounds like a new approach to designing learning experiences. I'm worried. Is design thinking going to replace instructional design? Will I have to learn something new, start from scratch? Is instructional design on its way out?
Lisa, I'm so happy you asked this question, and it's an important one. The increase in popularity of the design thinking method has a lot of instructional designers feeling anxious about what will happen to their field, their careers. Let's start with answering the first part of your question. What is design thinking? So design thinking is a methodology or a philosophy that can be applied to problems that involve layers or complexity. It's used to solve problems that don't tend to have an obvious solution. Design thinking's core concept is empathy. It's a human-centered methodology to solving problems that involve, human behavior. It can be used in learning, but also in architecture, graphic design, basically any design that involves human behaviors, emotions, and attitudes. The process follows 4 phases that go by different names. It begins with what is, or empathize, where the problem is identified and defined through empathetic research methods. Then it moves on to what if, or ideation, which is where design thinkers brainstorm out-of-the-box solutions. Nothing is off the table in this phase. Then it gets into the prototyping phase, or what wows. This is where rapid prototyping occurs, and designers get feedback and observe the experience as they adapt their design. The last phase of the design thinking methodology is testing, or what works. This is where designers decide which solutions from their prototype phase are both feasible and effective for all people involved in the project. So now to the second part of your question. Can design thinking be used to develop learning? Will it replace instructional design? Design thinking absolutely has a place in developing learning experiences. Learning and its effectiveness rely so heavily on human emotion, behavior, and attitude. But will it replace instructional design? No, it will elevate it. Design thinking and instructional design together will bring innovations to the learner experience we have never seen before. Design thinking and instructional design should be viewed as compatible, not at odds with each other. Instructional design offers structure to the learning design, but can lack the empathetic thinking and observations that help uncover the real issues in learning effectiveness. Instructional design pushes out content, sometimes creatively, but might only address one person's needs, like the instructor maybe. Design thinking helps instructional design to look at the bigger picture and needs and desires of all involved on a more empathetic level. The instructional design process alone has the potential to miss the mark. In instructional design, we often make assumptions about the problem and the learners involved in our courses without real proof of what our learners need or want. But what's awesome is that what instructional design lacks in foresight, design thinking can uncover with its incorporation of empathy from start to finish. I think of design thinking and instructional design working together like expert chefs working to create memorable dishes for their customers. Home chefs, like me, because I can't cook, begin with a recipe. The recipe gives me the structure and the steps needed to reach the end goal. Instructional design for me is the recipe. It gives me the structure to a process of creating learning with a specific end goal in mind. Great chefs, master chefs, if you will, they create, then they spice, they test it, they season it, they test it again, maybe they season it some more, until they have elevated the most basic dishes into something that does not just satisfy hunger. It creates an experience that the customers will talk about and never forget. Design thinking is that spice and seasoning that chefs bring to the dish to create that memorable dining experience from the moment the customer takes that first bite to the moment they finish their meal. I see design thinking and instructional design working together to create meaningful learning experiences the same way I see how great chefs create a dish or an innovative experience that lives on in their customer's memory. That being said, we still need the recipe. Sometimes we only need the recipe. If our customers just want grilled chicken, we follow the steps and grill the chicken. Is it memorable? No. But did it meet the need? Yes. In the same way great chefs discover their customers' needs and desires, design thinkers can help to reveal what our instructional design clients really need and want. Maybe our clients in instructional design only need to learn a process, nothing more. In which case, we don't need to elevate the recipe. Design thinking helps us, the instructional designers, learn from step one exactly what our learners need and want. We might assume they only need a certain level of learning, but we discover through empathetic conversations and observations that they are really asking for a spicy, transformational learning experience. Design thinking can help us uncover this need before we identify an end goal or outcome. So I guess to sum up my compatible connection theory between design thinking and instructional design thinking and instructional design are different, but one is not better than the other. One will not take over the other. Design thinkers and instructional designers working together can create human-centered innovations that go beyond content delivery. Empathy goes a long way. Understanding your learners on a deeper level through design thinking before designing the experience could have such a long-lasting impact on learning. If they simply want to eat grilled chicken, give it to them. But if they're asking for seasoning, spice, and a dish they're never going to forget, elevate that recipe starting with a good dose of empathy. Thank you so much for your question, Lisa. And thanks to all of you for listening to Current Conversations in Instructional Design. I'm so happy to have you here. Next week, we dig deeper into design thinking tools, elevating each step of the ADDIE process.